let's get ready to go. Switch over to capture rage here. And we're off. So let's set the players here. Actually looks like Capture Rage did a good job of assigning the player names, so we can go straight into casting the game. So Odette is the seeded 1 AI in this tournament, scripted by SC. At least when it began, it was sort of based off of Odette, female streamer player, based off of her play style. I think the early versions of it that actually had some walling code, which in AI battles it's not really effective. So right now it kind of plays a bit traditional style of fleshing. It's definitely a very strong AI. See Odette going for berries first, so learn more at the same time. And then we have Corleone, which is an aggressive AI made by Elias, one of the supervillain personalities. And Corleone is pretty well known for going for a lot of skirmishers with individual use control, I think with attack groups, and tends to have a style of and eventually surrounding the opponent skirmishers around their TC. So we should see some pretty aggressive action going during this game. Elias, good to see you here. I'm sure you're really excited, stressed about this match. So far we got no idle TC time, a little bit of idle eco from Corleone. Let me know what the pronunciation is. Alright, we got the board coming in. Red. Just got the second board as well. And the first lumber camp goes up for Odette. So Odette's a little bit ahead on resources collected, but it's pretty even at this point. The difference could just be based off when they adds the dropping out. We got a mill from Corleone. Still waiting for the mill. Actually, no, it's the mill. It's the lumber camp. Farms and some deer pushing from Odette. It's like this is a traditional near Arabia. So we should see both AIs playing it. Not limited by any of the variations at the chicken maps. Yeah. Variations at the... Alright, so I'm not sure if Corleone is only supposed to have 2 villagers on wood at this point, but 16 on food and 2 on wood is pretty extreme in here. But I think for some builds could be the way that it's done. I think there are some 2 villager on wood builds, but now we got a complete opposite. 15 villagers on wood. So that seems to be a lot of redistributing onto regions. And that's build so far looks fairly normal. So got a exploring pig from A. Just trying to see if I'd pushed in the deer or not. Looks like Corleone hasn't found the deer. Looks like he has. Alright, so we got a barracks. So Corleone should be up about a minute before Odette, which could be pretty good for aggression. We'll see if take that advantage and get ahead in military. That's building in the barracks. It's Corleone. Just a few. See archer range, and we got a blacksmith going. So I think as Ethiopians, Odette will go for archers, but we'll see. Okay, got archer range at the very least. But I expect that against Corleone, Odette will switch to skirmishers. She sees them. Eco looks to be a bit slightly more balanced for still heavy on the wood at this point, which might be fine. Because skirms will take a lot. Got a spear from Corleone. Seems to be pushing in the deer here. Same with the skirmisher. Second range from Odette, and looks like Odette's going straight into skirmishers. That could be due to Odette scouting. Sure. Got some scout action here from Odette, away from the spearmen. Some good micro. So, a few of the skirmishers hurt. Scout has scum damage. I'm curious if this little skirmish from the scout have distracted the skirmishers attacking. And it looks like Corleone hasn't scouted Odette yet, which could be got an idle scout here exploring. So it looks like the units have stopped following the scout, but they do seem to be going something else. Let's see here. So this archer might start getting attacked pretty soon, or maybe spearmen. Okay, they found the lumber camp, so I think attack will start here. Odette adding a blacksmith, so skirmishers will not have any upgrades, while Corleone has the first attack upgrade. So Odette has all of the skirmishers massed up, so they can one-shot each of Corleone's soldiers. And also got some of the skirmishers trying to fight the lumber camp, or the watchtower, instead of the skirmisher. So right now, the fight's clearly going in Odette's favor. Seem to have a little bit of conflicting commands being sent to soldiers. You can kind of see them for a microsecond be given a command and then stopping. It's like Odette did have his her skirmishers away from the battle for a little while, so these skirmishers have been able to lure these villagers a bit and distract them. But Odette's armies are back. A scout also going back and forth. So KD right now is 25-4. So Odette's definitely got the up. I think we'll see Odette. She's already making her way towards Corleone's base. I think we'll see Saphir soon. So Odette hit the forage bushes, hasn't seen the, or has seen the lumber camp, but hasn't. One-shotting all of Corleone's defensive soldiers, and now they attacks. Corleone doesn't have any other lumber camps right now to go to. So pretty soon I think we might see all of Corleone's villagers just going back and forth into the TC. Still got some gold miners here, which will be able to gather some resources. Corleone doesn't have a market to be able to sell off gold sources. So we could see Corleone start banking up some gold here, since it doesn't need soldiers. But I guess we do have some marching. It looks like the soldiers that do get trained just get sent forward. Alright, so it hit the gold miners. I'm curious with the training of spearmen, I wonder if those are added automatically. I think it makes sense to add them in before the enemy has been scouted, but I think once you start seeing that they're not training scouts, I wonder if ending spearman training is probably good. So Odette has both upgrades and is researching Castle Age, has both of the black. It's going to be hard for Corleone to come back from this. 49 to 24 villagers, and Corleone has no military. But Odette is going back to get these soldiers, but it looks like Odette is going to be probably to regroup and maybe get the elite upgrade and attack again. And it looks like, because Corleone is kind of an all-in AI, just keep on sending the soldiers in to attack. Alright, so we got Bodkin, Skirmisher, search for that, as well as Bowsaw. Skirmishers around. Scout is down. We also have a few crossbows, so Odette's upgrading the skirmishers, but switching across. Switch makes sense for Castle Age. Until Corleone gets elite skirmishers, the crossbows will be able to do a decent job against the skirmishers just because of their bigger range or attack. We also have a knight from Odette. Yeah, I agree. I think this is GG at this point. So I think I'll call the game here. Get ready for Arena. Just briefly, stats here. So the key here is that Corleone was ahead in military, but just didn't have the coordination. Didn't have his units grouped together while Odette did. And that extra group control was able to take some one-shot kills. And because Odette's not an all-in AI, had some economy leak throughout most of the game. Go. Back to the scores. Alright, so for the arena, Odette plays Incas or Franks. Let's see, Corleone plays Saracens. Yeah, I agree as well that Corleone wasn't able to find Odette in time. I don't know if the idle scout had a lot to do with it. I would guess so. I don't know if it got idle just because of SNs failing or if it was some DC that stalled it. But either way, let's hope for some different results here in Arena. Switch over to Capture Age. Looks like we gotta change the player names here. Alright, so Odette has Franks. So I'm curious to see if that means we'll see some cavalry on Arena. Usually the cavalry isn't quite as strong. See how Odette plays. Meanwhile, Corleone Saracens, I think, plays for the same strategy, but relies on the skirmishers to use the Saracens team bonus to break through the... Alright, so this time we have Corleone immediately sending the scout outside the gate. Give a good chance for Corleone to scout Odette. Or coming forward. Now Odette is also bringing in the boar. And Odette seems to have scouted most of its pigs, for all of them. Also found its boar. Alright, so looks like Corleone did find that one sheep or pig struggling to scout because it's in the end. Yeah, otherwise looks like a decent start for both AIs. Scout going to this little back area here, scout it. Meanwhile, Odette doesn't have an extra back area to go to, so Odette should have some less space to defend if necessary. But usually AIs aren't pushed all the way back here. It's usually before. Yeah, in this tournament sometimes you see different strategies from AIs that don't necessarily play well in gaming games. Just because AIs in general know fewer strategies and also don't have as good reactions to various strategies. They kind of just go for the main strategy that they're built for. Sometimes they can't react very well to different aggressive ones. So we got some deer pushing from Odette. Guess we'd see the same thing from maybe ones in feudal age. Let's push in the deer with skirmishers. Or actually, looks like we'll just get them from. It's going up for. I am kind of curious if it's intentional for the village to long distance the deer. on AI games, we usually play them on 2 times the 2 times speed, so fast speed. That's usually the threshold that speeds up the game a decent amount so it doesn't drag itself out, but also is at a good point where like if you go too fast, like 4 times or 8 times speed, that will increase AI performance. So for AI tournaments, the 2 times fast speed is a good compromise point. Happy medium. So Corleone is still gathering the long distance, while Corleone is up to feudal age, and it looks like Odette's going to go for a classic fast castle build. I do think SD, the scripter for Odette, has spent more time on Arabia than Arena, so I think the build orders for Arabia are probably more optimized. See how it goes. So we got an archer range and blacksmith from still not up to feudal age. Mining camp. C5 village is building mining camp, but maybe probably going gold. Most of them are. To see this extra village camp. Corleone's got the second range being constructed. Skirmisher is on the way. So Corleone hasn't found the enemy yet, but I think that Skirmisher should find it soon. There we go. Alright, and the attack has started. Yeah, it's still not in age yet, just about a minute away. Scout is leaving the gate. The scout is idle again. That might be okay. Let's see, this scout is, I think, exploring, so I don't know if it'll attack that. Sure, it doesn't look. This might be the first time that Odette's pushing out. Yeah, so Odette's exploring the flank. See if Odette can find Corleone. Go. I don't think that Odette will be able to find any of Corleone's buildings besides the walls. Alright, so we got HP of the stone wall getting pretty damaged. Might be another minute and then it's through. So Odette is definitely on the timer here. Researching Castle Age. So this will be a question of can Odette get the knights in time to defend against this army. What I find interesting is I think these Saracen ranged units actually have more attack against walls than this scout would. That's how much of a difference that team bonus makes. Alright, Odette's still a minute and a half, and the archers have broken through the walls. I haven't seen Corleone try to move in yet. I suppose we might see that soon. Maybe Corleone just hasn't seen any other buildings to attack yet. Like we got a horde archer range coming up. We're being sent toward it. So something's being sent. They're being sent over here for some reason. It looks like Corleone still hasn't moved into the town yet. I think what happened is that AIs have an ability to see the opposite side of the map, like pick a point that's on the opposite side or the flank, and it's not supposed to be the location where the enemy is necessarily. And so it looks like maybe Corleone is just sending their soldiers to the opposite side of the map. They did find this knight here. So the fact that military streaming in here might get the Corleone units to start responding. So that's my guess why Corleone is gathering units right here. Alright, so we might see some action here pretty soon. This is definitely a game where you'd want to see some spearmen, so I wonder if Corleone has some spears that are trained. We got one spearman so far, which seems to be stuck trying to push in this deer. Their freedom. This is where the more important action's taking place. So this will give us a rough gauge of how the battle is going. So unique thing about Corleone, not truly unique, but it controls each of its units individually because it uses, I think, one-man attack groups. So the fact that it controls them individually can cause a lot of various damage against the knights. I do kind of wonder if they were to like pick the same targets, if they could kill off the various knights a bit quicker. But at least one knight down. So of the units that started in the battle, looks like the knights are getting a slow advantage here. But of course, Corleone is going to be adding a lot more soldiers than Odette is. Second, I'll probably update to include instead of come. And Odette seems to want to try and keep the knights defensive and freedom to the TC. So Odette so far has gathered a whole bunch more resources, has more villagers of course, but still on 2 TCs. Alright, so the knights seem to be starting to clean up the ranged soldiers. Got a spearman here. Let's see if this guy can start doing some damage. Maybe got 1 or 2 attacks in. It's like Odette's trying to expand, build this pretty risky town center here, but if the town center gets built, that might cause Corleone to try and retreat its units away from the TC and might not ever be able to break in to walk through and get inside Odette's base. So, looks like Corleone's attack failed, unfortunately. Maybe not unfortunately for Odette's sake or SD's sake. I'm not exactly sure what caused Corleone's units to gather over here instead of trying to move in inside the walls. But that allowed Odette to have some time to mass up some knights and be able to defend. Corleone is not adding villagers because it's an all-in strategy. So I think we might see Odette mass up her economy more. Yep, so I think I'll call it here. It could be just a case of the scout mirror or the position mirror just not working as expected this game. It's working as scripted, just kind of lucky or bad luck that the enemy's base wasn't directly opposite of where the players started. So it can work in most cases, but not necessarily all cases. Let's take a brief stats. back to the